We're on. Okay, well, welcome back to Postmortem Radio, boys and girls. We are back with another episode. At this, what you got? What good swag you got there, Katie? What'd you bring home this time? Uh, uh, were they actually giving those out at the theater?
No, everyone keeps asking me that. And actually, I got these. These are I got these when I saw Renfield like 2 years ago.
Okay. Yep, I remember there. Yeah, we did an Renfield episode. Go back in our archives and check it out.
Yes, very painful.
I don't think it was that painful.
Yeah.
It didn't suck.
Oh, that comment.
Maybe it sucked just a little.
We're gonna leave it at that. We're good.
Yeah, we're leaving it at that.
Yeah, we don't have any innuendo, so we're good. Okay.
Well, welcome back, as we said, to Postmortem Radio. All five of you that are watching the episode, we appreciate every one of you guys. We just got some swag in, so if anybody, you can see I'm wearing a little bit. I got a shirt, we got hats, we got tumblers. Can't probably really see because of my background, but we got all kinds of goodies. So we'll when I get a chance, I'll get some pictures. We'll put them up in. Anybody wants any, we'll have them at the conventions. Come say hi when you see us at the conventions, and or send us an email. But yeah, today's episode is about Sinners. Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan collaborating once again. Only this time it's not in the ring. So, but this
one at a station either,
or in Wakanda,
or in Wakanda. That's right.
That's right. This one was kind of interesting because when I first saw the trailers, I was not interested at all. I was like, it just kind of looks kind of whatever. And then the more I saw it, and the more every time I see an advertisement or a trailer for it, or a clip or a TV spot, it made me want to see it just a little bit more. And I've always been I'm a fan of Michael B. Jordan with everything except Fantastic Four. I think I've seen I've enjoyed him, and so let's get into it. Katie, are you ready? Back to your regular films, like you do such a great job. Not that you didn't do a great job, Jay, but you're just not Katie. So
I think I can do it. My voice is back, so let's do it. Sinners, as Oz said, written and directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, Delroy Lindo, and I believe introducing Miles Caton. It is about twin brothers, Smoke and Stack, who are going back to their hometown in Mississippi, 1932. They have been gone for 7 years up in Chicago, and doing some a little bit of ditty dirty stuff in Chicago. They've got a little bag, or sort of a big bag full of money, and they are coming home to open up a juke joint for all of their friends and family. So they have a place where they can be free, do whatever they want, because this is on their terms and their rules. Let me reiterate, it is 1932, Mississippi. So when any person of color tries to do that, you are going to find resistance, whether it be subtle or blatant. This is a horror film. I mean, again, you could say 1932 Mississippi, you're a person of color. There's a number of things that are already a horror film right there. But when Smoke and Stack come into town, they don't let anyone know. And they run into their cousin, Sammy, played by Miles Caton, who is an incredible musician. Sammy wants to play at the juke joint, and they listen to him play, and he has the gift that can entice people to like forget who they are, see the future, see the past, and they're like, all right, you're in. They also meet up with Delroy Lindo, who is Delta Slim. He has an agreement with another group, and he's not going to break that up until Stack gives him a little bit of Irish beer, and then he is on his way to be playing for that juke joint. Now, Smoke and Stack were very notorious when they were in their Mississippi town. That notoriety has not gone away, especially with the ladies that they loved at the time, mainly Haley Steinfeld, who plays Mary, and Wunmi Musaku, who plays Annie. Histories with both Smoke and Stack. They have, it is a very diverse, beautiful area in Mississippi, but it's also amazing how the cinematography shows. Like, there are so many long shots that are just out of this world. Like, they're in a store run by an Asian American family. While they're in the store, they go across the street, and you can see the division that's not a division. On one side of the street are people of color, you know, going to stores, buying wares, all this stuff. On the other side of the street, it is very segregated, all white, all that. And it is one long shot that I think there's at least 5 in this film that last well over 2 to 3 minutes, where it's not like it's just like going through a door and all that stuff. Like, you're working with so many people on the set that is like, it takes an extremely nuanced director and cinematographer to work with those people and make sure that everything is choreographed so precisely. And Ryan Coogler nailed it. That is one of the just many things that I think this film is going to be nominated for come next year. I know it's April, but believe me, there's a lot of stuff that people are talking about. Now, here comes the baddies. All of a sudden, a gentleman falls from the sky and sees some poor people in a cornfield in their little house, says that he's running away from some people. And that's where the true horror in the horror film comes into play. Now, we do not see this trio of characters again until they hear the music of Sammy in the juke joint. And honestly, there's a scene in the juke joint when Sammy is playing that is my absolute favorite scene in a film for 2025. Again, it's a long shot that goes on for a good 2 to 3 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, and it is incredible. I don't know if we should spoil it if you don't know. See these 3 people who live in a little shack, all this stuff. Turns out one of them is a vampire, and he turns the other 2 into vampires too. It's not necessarily that same kind of vampirism where, you know, here's my blood, suck it, all that stuff. It's more of that sort of rabid kind of vampire where when you get bit, then then you get turned no matter where it is or what it is and all that stuff. So it's kind of like that zombie vampire. Like, you have to be real careful. But there's also the vampire rules. You have to be invited in and all that stuff. A lot of people die. A lot of people get bit. There is a huge blowout and all that stuff. And then even at the end, there's even a bigger blowout. Well, I don't know if it's a bigger blowout, but then there's another blowout too. And this film is about freedom. It's about gaslighting. It's about culture. It's about the blues, brotherly love, and blood. And honestly, it's going to be in the top 10 for a number of critics that I know. It's their #1 film already. It's killing it at the box office, especially for an original film in 2025 or just in the past 10 years. And Ryan Coogler has proven that, I mean, he's got it. Like, especially with the combo of him and Michael B. Jordan. I mean, that is good as gold. Whatever they do together or whatever it's going to be a part of it, I'm going to be front row and want to see that right away. I could not recommend this film more. I do not think it's perfect. There's just a little bit of the character Remick, played by Jack O'Connell, who, if you don't recognize him, don't worry. I didn't recognize him for a good 15, 20 minutes in the film when he was in there. I'm like, holy crap, I didn't realize you were in this. And then it's like, okay, he's best known, at least for me, by Eden Lake. He plays a dick in that. He plays a dick in this. And yeah, he is a charming Irish guy. There's a lot of gaslighting that he does when he's trying to entice people to be vampires, which, you know, the whole thing about freedom. But the thing about that is that you have to die to get it. And yeah, he is a very good antagonist for the film. But one of the things about it is that no one is sin free, and that's one of the you know, that's something about the film. And one, I was like, after I recalled it, it's like you go through the 10 commandments, you go through all the sins, each one is checked with a major red mark. And it's one of those things that just because these people have done bad does not mean bad needs to be done against them. This is a rich blend of characters, so many amazing performances. One of my favorites is Lee Jun Lee, which I know she plays Grace Chow. I know she's getting hate because she brought it on, but I loved it when stuff happened with her. I think Haley Steinfeld was incredible. This is not your grandmother's Parent Trap, because the twin aspect of Michael B. Jordan, I mean, it's frightening how that is not two people. It's the same guy. It is incredible. I cannot stress, go and see this movie in the theater. It is imperative that you do, and see it twice, because this is the film right now of 2025.
Yeah, well, I mean that was definitely a mouthful, but I couldn't agree more with pretty much everything you said. I mean, and the biggest thing from my takeaway on this one was the sound. This, I mean, I know we talked about sound design and in the Hard Eyes episode, but and not just the music. I mean, the music was amazing. The music was amazing. I know the scene that you're talking about, the long shot, and it really it was super cool. I mean, you get a little bit, you get past, present. I mean, I mean, it was a wonderfully shot and beautiful scene done by Coogler. And but the sound design, and I mean, even the costume design, I thought was just amazing. And I said this when I immediately afterwards was like, this movie is going to be nominated for Oscars. There's no doubt in my mind. And they were like, wow, it's pretty high praise. And I was like, well, I mean, you need to go see this movie. You'll understand what I'm talking about.
Agreed.
Give me a chance to jump in there, Jay.
Oh, hi. So first of all, any film that's got two-tone vampires in it, I'm a fan of. So I am a big fan. The best damn shoes that anyone knows. So with that being said, yeah, a lot of it's been covered, and you know, there's a lot of people act surprised by Sinners. I'm not. You know, when you have the resources in the deal Ryan Coogler signed, it better be damn good. And that's the problem with it. And, you know, that's the problem, and also the benefit of it, because he's lived up to every single film that he has been a part of. Everything. And he's written and had control over everything, which is one of the wonderful things in the modern Hollywood landscape. Now, nominated for, and I'm going to preface this. I loved Sinners. I saw it regular. I saw it in IMAX. I missed it in Dolby. So, and I may end up going to see it again to pick up more details. Because in my experience and in my years of doing this, you see a film 3 times. One, for the hype. Because as anyone who knows me, most films disappoint. That it's the scariest thing since The Exorcist. It's the most powerful film in X, Y, and Z. It's the most this, it's the most that, and 99% of the time it fails. Thankfully, they didn't do that with this film, but it wouldn't have mattered because it didn't fail. I love this film. This is definitely for me probably top 3 of the year. We went back, we saw it again, and I picked up so much more stuff the second time, because the second time you go and see it after the hype, you go and see it to actually start enjoying it. The third time is for all the detail, because you're picking up things you didn't, especially and Oz. I'm going to put Katie and I in a different category here, because we've run a lot of the same paths over the years. As critics, we want to be able to dig deep into these projects. We tend to go in not really as fans once you really get into this, but more as a critical eye. And especially me, being a filmmaker over the last 5 years with different projects, why no means am I comparing myself. And I know some people really like comparing themselves and talking about themselves rather than the people they're around. I've learned in all my years that as much as I am a filmmaker, compared to them, I'm nothing. I'm not even a little speck. But having some experience doing it, you kind of understand maybe things a little bit different. I think that's one of the great things about the three of us in how we handle these films. So when we're going to this, I'm not really surprised that this was great. You're right. Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler are tremendous. And also the team that is around him is tremendous.
Yes.
And we'll get into that more, because one of the really wonderful goals that was brought up, and Katie, I don't know if you were going to say it, and we'll get to it, is how the DP with the IMAX. I'll leave it up to you to talk about it after we're done, but there were milestones met with this film. I mean, only a 6% drop from week 1 to 2, which was fun. It's unheard of. And why?
Yep.
Why? And this is kind of a scary thing, because as wonderful and packed as these theaters have been, it worries me a little bit that this film is not going to make the money that these packed theaters really show. It's kind of weird, because the opening weekend was 42 million. I think it was somewhere in that ballpark, if I'm correct. 42 million. Somewhere, maybe
48, 49, I believe. Yeah.
Perfect. 48, 49. My apology, correction. With all those packed theaters, it should have been more. And
I agree.
It should have been more. Yeah, it should have been more. And I'm not criticizing, because people have criticized. I'm not criticizing. I am so happy with the success that this film has had over the first 2 weeks. And I wouldn't expect much of a drop this weekend either. In fact, it might not be for another month that you see a drop, even with Thunderbolts coming out. Thunderbolts is getting great buzz right now. I still don't think, because this is a really unique film. It is a drama wrapped around a horror film. As I heard someone say, the vampires don't rule this film.
Yeah.
This is a dramatic film, a period piece that has real social issues. And that's what's beautiful about horror. Horror is a great platform to be able to go ahead and say, I want to tell you this, but I don't want you to know that I'm telling you this. And that is the beauty of genre for a century now. You go all the way back to Frankenstein. Frankenstein, the idea of playing God. I mean, George A. Romero, that was his shtick when he brought out the Dead trilogy, all that stuff. So not really surprised. However, though, listening to you two talk about nominations, I'm not necessarily sure I agree with that. The reason why is we're early in the season. That's one thing. You brought it up. We're still early in the season. But I hope it doesn't get the stigma of being a horror film. I know people, horror fans, oh my God, it's our year. We've got nominations. Yes, we are going to rule the world. No, it doesn't work that way, folks. I am a horror fan. I am a horror critic, horror filmmaker, horror everything. I have common sense. I don't live in a Friday the 13th scenario in my life, okay? I want this film to get those nominations on the merit of it being a great film. Forget being a great horror film. It is a great film, a great collaboration on every single level. And looking at this, I actually have some things to nitpick on it. Which I think are fun little things. So one of the big things I've heard, because this film brings every aspect of the filmmaking process to life. I don't know how to say Ludwig's last name, but the music created, scored, everything that he has done with his collaboration with Ryan Coogler, phenomenal. You guys talk about certain numbers. For me, and I want to make sure I have this correct, the character plays Pearline. Okay?
Yes.
Pale, Pale Moon, that's my favorite. That is my favorite number in Sinners. And by the way, spoilers. If you don't know already, spoilers, okay? It is absolutely incredible what they're able to do. The music, the cinematography, the editing, the color correction, the directing, the energy of the film. It is a film for the first time in a long time. I can say that I was ready to go back for a second time. Now, Freaky Tales also, I would have went back for a second time if it had been playing in the theaters more than 30 seconds and it was gone.
Yeah.
Sinners, I went back, Susan and I went back, and we loved seeing it again. Again, we might go see it again. But when you look at it, one thing that people are talking about, can we stop trying to milk the cow? Stop. We don't need a universe where we're going to find out about the Stack and Smoke twins. We don't need a TV series. We don't need it. People have been talking about, well, we need to develop this universe of it. No, we don't really need to do this. This is a phenomenal film. This is a film that you, even though it's rated R, this is a film you study. This is a film you break down and you see all the different elements of it. Whether you're a critic, a filmmaker, a fan, this can teach you. This is a teaching project. Most of Ryan Coogler's work is a teaching project. But I don't want to see a universe in it. It is so beautiful the way it is. It reminds me, ready, Katie? Here's the parallel. Elf. We don't need to see another world in Elf. Elf is a perfect movie, a perfect holiday movie that does everything right. This movie does everything right. It's incredible. And to have it shot in IMAX, 70 millimeter, and we have to go to New York City to be able to see it. We were not able to see it here in Jersey. Absolutely incredible, because the performances, and you talked about the long shots, the wide shots, how they really use the location. It's absolutely beautiful. It's stunning what they're able to do with the light and how they're able to harness nature, and how Ryan Coogler and his DP, let me make sure I have her name, Autumn Durade Arkapaw. They have that shorthand that is perfect.
Yeah.
I think perfect is the word for it. There's so much to love about this film. And this is, in a long time, this is an actual film I took notes about because I wanted to be able to touch on everything. This is a film, for me, that not only has that energy, and someone who's been involved in jazz and swing for 3 decades, it is a film that is almost more musical than it is horror film. Yeah. And that's not really the music's talking about, but it's not really talking about. It gives you something for everyone. Now, I've got a lot more I want to talk about, but I don't want to take up all the time with this. It's a film that when we sat down, we decided to break down, I couldn't wait to do. Because, Katie, everything you said was on point. The only thing I've got a problem with this, really a problem is, and Katie, upon watching the second time, I think it's explained a little bit more how there were so many people killed by the vampires. It's explained.
Yep, I got it. My friend, actually, a friend of mine went, saw it again, and he was like, "So here's the thing," and he told me,
"Where were they hiding? Where were they hiding?"
Okay, that makes more sense now. I can overlook that one, because that was one of the main things that everyone, we were done, it's like, where the hell did all those people come in the juke joint? Like when the big, the big thing happened, it's like, where were you guys? I don't, where the hell? But it's like, yeah, my friend saw it and he's like, okay, rewatched it again. They are there. They're just not saying anything. They're like over in the corner and doing that. And I was like, okay, you know what? That does make sense, because there was the guy on the floor that people thought was dead, but he was just drunk and they threw him out. I'm like, okay, honestly, there could be more people like that. They're like, I'm just sticking around because I don't have a ride home. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, it's like,
thank God you don't, because you walk out there, you become a vampire. Spoiler alert, ready? The vampires come in, and all of a sudden, all these people are getting slaughtered. The problem is it's none of the main characters.
No.
And it's like all these expendable people, where they come from? In the end, by the way, for those who haven't seen it, even though we give spoilers, still go see it.
Yeah.
There are 2 post-credit scenes you need to understand, because they put those puzzle pieces into the spots. Just like we had a problem about all these people being slaughtered, questions are answered at the end.
Yeah. And even if we spoil anything, honestly, nothing that we can say is going to convey the visual and
power,
like the power of the music. Honestly, like I remember being in the IMAX theater, like, you know, sitting back, and when Sammy starts playing, like I was on the edge of my seat, like feeling that energy. It was like electricity in the theater. And immediately I knew, it's like, I'm getting this soundtrack. I'm gonna see this again. And God damn it, I'm glad that I'm watching this before everybody else, because this is not gonna be like something I'm gonna feel probably the rest of the year. Who knows? It was just amazing. And again, like I said, every single person, this was spectacular casting. Like I could not see anyone like taking over any someone else's character or performance. Like everybody was spot on. Cinematography was absolutely amazing. And like you said, Ludwig Göransson, I mean, I think he already has 2 Oscars. It's going to be hard for me to see if there's going to be anything. I mean, I know it's April, but guess what? Get Out came out in February.
I know,
and it went on to be nominated for so many things. Only won, but there are films that can come out at the beginning of the year. It's just the way the studios do them. At the end, it's bullshit how they treated Dune 2, because it should have had a re-release. It should have been pushed harder. It was a front runner for everything. And honestly, it still should have been the front runner at the end of the year. But Warner Brothers dropped the ball. They shouldn't do that for this. And that's my only thing that I really, really hope doesn't happen. But Jay, as you said, the fact that it went down 6%, 6% in revenue is unheard of.
Yes.
I mean,
you know what, Katie, I'm gonna say this also, and this goes to the magic of the film and why it succeeds. Right now, Marvel is in a big quandary. They want Hugh Jackman to play Wolverine. They love Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman's amazing. They want to play Wolverine because they want that money, right? Hugh Jackman's character of Wolverine should have been recasted as an unknown. Guess what Sinners does right? Sinners goes out and gets a gospel prodigy who has toured and can act in Miles Caton. He is Caton. I'm sorry,
Caton.
He is phenomenal. And
amazing.
What they do, they didn't need a marketable name. They had their marketable name with Michael B. Jordan. Delroy Lindo, it was great to see him back. It's been a little while. I always think of Gone in 60 Seconds whenever I think of him. When it comes to it. I mean, one of the many roles he's done. But getting an unknown to play such a key role that isn't a superstar, isn't a pop star, isn't a blue star, because you have Buddy Guy at the end. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
He shows up at the end.
Spoiler, yeah.
But he shows at the end, and it ties everything together with it. But it's incredible. And by the way, social media, I can't tell you how many clips I watch on Instagram about this film. It has flooded my timeline. So, folks, if you don't know a lot of this stuff, then you know what? I'm sorry. You're under a rock. I'm sorry. That's the way life is with it.
And you know what? Being under a rock is not bad, because I did not watch any of the trailers. In fact, I didn't even know. I always go in wanting to know absolutely nothing. So I don't have any preconceived like feelings or anything. I was very mad. People are asking me if I was excited about Sinners. And this was like a month or 2 ago. And I'm like, I am, Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan. That's all I need to know. And one of the guys was like, yeah, it's just weird that, they made it about vampires. I'm like, which part of all I know is Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan? And he was like, well, it's in the trailer. Which part of all I know is that I never watch trailers? I always make that extremely vocal that I never watch trailers, because I don't want to know what the film's about. it's like I've been burned too many times where it's like the trailer gives away the entire movie and I don't need to see the movie. I don't want to see anything of the trailer. I just want to see the movie.
You can go by reputation, Katie, because I work in Newark, New Jersey, where Michael B. Jordan came up. And I'll tell you something. Michael B. Jordan is so well respected in the city of Newark for everything he does. It's a little different now because of his star. But for many years, he would come for his movie premieres, host them in Newark, have kids in there, have the community in there. I've talked to people living around him. And Ryan Coogler is just supposed to be the bomb. He's just supposed to be the bomb diggity, just not to take away a slang term, but he's just amazing when it comes to it. Oz, our host sinner, anything you'd like to throw in there before we just keep talking?
I'm glad that you mentioned Delroy Lindo, and you know, I've seen him and everything I've seen him and immediately, like you said, I think of Gone in 60 Seconds. I think of Romeo Must Die. He's such a great talent and supporting. I thought he added such a good comedic
comedy.
Yes, comedic.
I just shat myself. Did he smell anything?
Yeah.
I just shat myself.
He did, and that's the thing. He does, but he also has one of the best monologues. One not only in the film, but of the year.
Oh,
when
God.
They're in the car,
oh.
and that he's telling that story, and you talk about the sound design and all that, and you hear what the circumstance of the story, like very faintly overlapping and stuff like that, and that's a beautiful shot that also is very true to the time, to letting him know it's like,
Yep.
look, you have this is why you always have to be on guard and stuff like that. And again, this is what I've said, it's like, look, there are plenty of horrors in 1932 Mississippi for a person of color, that you just throw in the vampires, and it's like, okay, well, let's just make it a day. And believe me, I was very happy at what happened the next morning after everything that happened, and no, not a tear went down my cheek because of that. Loved it. Always on board seeing that. It was like a Mississippi Sisu moment for me.
Well, I'll tell you what, don't tell me that Quentin Tarantino didn't have a hand in that ending whatsoever, because that is a Quentin Tarantino type of ending right there. But one thing I'm going to bring up is the aspect, and I had two major issues with this film. Two. One, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's enjoyable. It's a little bit long. I got to be honest with you, I didn't need the opening scene where he comes into the church. I didn't need that setup. I could have been good where they came into town and started after, because you return to that scene 3/4 into the film, almost almost 90% through the film. You don't need that to set us up with the horrors that are going to happen. The film stands on its own without that opening. You could have trimmed 5 minutes off that film, and I think it would have been a little bit better. I'm not criticizing it. It's phenomenal. You hear us talking about this, but trimming that off is something I think that opening would have been better, because it gives me exposition I don't need. And it's already such a wonderfully balanced film with story, with character, with conflict, with the aspect of it. You don't need that. And the second thing I have a problem with is it's a little preachy. It's a little preachy. All right. I get the fact of sinners and religion and vampires, and don't tell me you're not making a comparison of Catholicism to vampirism. Don't tell me, because you're hitting me over the head with it. I mean, that scene where Merrick was his name, Remick walks up to that door, and he's bringing all of his converts to there. That's why I have the two-tone vampire convert. It's a bit much. I don't need each of them to introduce why now you must join. This isn't knocking on my door saying, excuse me, we're here by the church of this and the church of that. I don't need that. So if you had trimmed 5 minutes off of that and given a more streamlined thing, because we already know they're vampires. We already know that after the first 30 seconds, they can tap into each other. Great. I don't need you telling me about how they can have sex with each other. I don't need you to tell me to show the brother versus brother. Cain versus Abel, that fable, okay, the religious idea of it was done when one's on one side of the door and the other one's on the other side of the door. That is a better introduction. Trim that down there and stop being so preachy. That's my criticisms of the film.
I agree and disagree. I could see where you could say trimming the first segments, can alleviate a few minutes. However, when you have a film called Sinners and you have that opening where a guy comes in, a Studebaker, with like just a ripped up face, a broken guitar, and he walks in and everyone is in white. It's like I actually loved it because you knew that guy had fought some evil, and this is this redemption, and like here is this peaceful place of white and holiness, and like and all that stuff. So it's like seeing that, it's like, okay, so what are we about to get into? Also, I don't know about the preachiness. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think have hidden meanings and that are deeper than, Ryan Coogler. Like, do we need to get into all the stuff with Remick? Are there fan theories or the stuff that's like Remick's from like 16th century Ireland, when the English were prosecuting the Irish? Possibly. Yes, there's like little tidbits that sprinkle in there and all that stuff. Is this also from Dusk Till Dawn meets Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I think so. That's my theory of what the film is. It's like, if you want to, that's what I've been telling people. But I don't know. My only issue with the film, like you have that, I don't agree. I actually like that. My only issue is that Remick just falls from the sky onto the dirt ground, goes into the porch of that, and we're just supposed to think, where did he come from? So he's a vampire. It's 4:00 in the afternoon, hot Mississippi sun. Where did he come from? He didn't fly like a bat. Like you have the vultures above, so it's like, yes. Is there a whole thing that he's a fallen angel? All this, sure, yeah, blah blah blah. Okay, great. If that's the case, then how did the indigenous bounty hunters come to find him and track him down to there?
That's another problem I have with it, is the fact that there is a couple storylines that kind of are left untethered. The Native Americans being there, the bounty hunters, I think are a big one. But I'm going to tell you something, Katie, and spoiler alert, this ties into the second post scene. I think that Remick is a fallen angel. I think he's a corrupted fallen angel, because when Sammy is playing in that church and that he looks up, I think it's actually the Spirit of God. And I think God cast out him to go ahead. And if you know, and I'm not going to quote it, don't take offense if you're religious. I'm not trying to be religious here, but the fallen angels are trying to stop and destroy. This is a fallen angel that has come out of the sky who hears and is in search of Sammy and is trying to turn everyone. That is the MO of the fallen angel. Now, they're vampires in this case. We don't want to draw comparisons because that would be sacrilege for religion to have vampires, the living dead. However, though, I think that last scene and that explanation, Katie, ties together. I think it ties together. I think he's cast out. That's why he falls and he's burning, because he's just gotten away and he's trying to find what he needs. However, though, the Native Americans, I have no idea why those bounty hunters are involved in it. They shouldn't be in there. Just like maybe you should show where all those people who are going to be slaughtered are hiding. I'm just being honest about that. So I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. But again, it goes to the preachiness. You have a great story. You don't need to hit me over the head with it. I got it after the first 10 times.
But the whole thing is that if you wouldn't have sin without there being, I mean, the whole thing with sin is to having to deal with some sort of religion. It's not like you can have good and evil and all that stuff. That's fine. But once you talk about sin, you talk about redemption. These are all words that kind of go along with religion, with religious aspects to them.
They're beating me over the head by bringing everyone from the ensemble up to the door to give their cases. This isn't the people's court, all right? It's not the people's court.
Be.
It could be. The vampire people's court. It's not the people's court. I don't need to see as much because I already know between all the oral sex they talk about and show in there, between the idea of the coming of age of the Sammy character, between the idea of them having sex, there's so much sin even before they get to that. You're hitting me over the head with it. It might be nitpicking, but to be honest, the more I think about it, it's a fair complaint, because if you go ahead and you stop hitting me over the head with it and allow all the elements, like it works so successfully, I don't think it's taking anything away from it. I really don't.
I think you need to have all those aspects in it, especially when you have the relationships that are discussed. Because I mean, when Haley Steinfeld's character comes into view
I
and
love
she
that.
talks, and she talks to Sammy, and then she goes up to Stack, and then the stuff that comes out of her mouth.
I love
Sammy's like, I'm just gonna go away. And it's like, ooh, this is not the little girl from True Grit anymore.
No.
Goddamn, listen to you talk. I love it. It's
She's
like,
good.
ooh, you can the details. And then when Sammy, does one of my favorite lines, which has always been one of my favorite lines from like 20 years. 15 years. I'm not going to tell you where I heard it first. It was from a friend who heard it from someone else. But when he's with the Herline and she's like, I just want to clean myself up. And he says, I want to taste you. I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And you did. And he found the button and he pushed that to all heaven. And you know
like
what?
Ice cream.
Good for her. Good for him for doing that on the first go round. Way to go. You paid attention. That's how you do it. This is all the sin. You need that. And I love that, because at the end, and again, we're talking spoilers, when he says, up until that point, up until the vampire's name, that was the best night of my life. And I was
That's
like,
right.
Yes, it was, little
Yeah.
Sammy. Yes, it was.
But
And
you just said, Katie, show me. You just did. It proved my point. Show me. Don't tell me. Everything you did was action that you just said. It was not telling me anything except for the line, that set of lines that Haley does. Show me. Don't tell me.
You mean you wanted to show me the oral sex?
I want to see all the sins visually. I don't need you to tell me over and over all the different things that are connected. Show me. It's a visual media, not an audio media when it comes to dialogue. Go, Oz.
You got the stuff in your head. Yeah, you makes it much better.
I think they're trying to establish the connection between the Smoking Stack and Sammy, because they're playing the older brother, and that was their, like you said, it's his coming of age. So that was, the talk of the oral sex and everything, and him, that was like the old brotherly, giving the younger brother the advice on how, what to do, that kind of thing. And then to, hear him going and then kind of giving him the, good for you, kid, kind of, thing. I mean, I think that gave them a level of humanity, because it was missing in Sammy's life those years while the brothers were gone working for Al Capone in Chicago. And I think I don't know. I just think it deepens that bond with them, that he didn't really have that. I mean, they were even kind of alluding to that, I think, when they were in the car and they're asking, if his dad was beating him and all that kind of stuff, because he didn't have anybody to.
Right.
When they were there, he kind of had them to kind of lean on and kind of, be there for him, and they weren't there, and they were gone. So I don't know. I thought it was a really, wonderful way of showing a brotherly bond. I mean, granted, the brothers were the twins and they were the cousin, but I mean, I don't know. I think it showed a deeper connection with Sammy by doing that.
Oz, I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said, because not only in the relationship dynamics where Stack is more flamboyant, he's with a white woman, someone who actually he loves, but he can't admit that he loves because it would go against his image of what he is. And it's great because we see that connection tied up wonderfully. I think the relationship dynamics in this, whether it's the cousins together, whether it's the father and son, whether it's the idea of Smoke. Who's the character, Katie, who's with Smoke? What's her name?
Annie.
Annie, thank you.
Yeah.
Him and Annie, that's one of the most beautiful scenes of the entire film. The way it's shot, the way it flows, the edits, the music, the interaction, the intimacy, the longing, the missing. It's something that's so beautiful, so poetic. Those relationship dynamics succeed on every level. There's not a level. The only thing I is the aspect of the Asian couple. They are willing to buy back into it. The problem is I don't have enough backstory on why they want to buy back into it. And the shot of looking at the daughter, other than knowing that that they're never going to see her again, because they do that montage where all the characters are coming together for it, which is great. I don't need that shot of looking at the daughter. It bothers me a little bit that you're throwing there because it's almost like a guilt. That's the only relationship I had a problem within it. Other than that, I agree with you. The mentoring of the cousin, looking after him, the religious factor, the love between all of them. I thought all the couples were on par with their arcs and what they were able to do with it.
See, and I'm going to disagree regarding the Bo and Grace characters because since they had worked with Smoke and Stack before, and they knew, the talent that Grace had with, writing the sign and all that stuff. And they're like, we're good and all that stuff. It's like, well, how about if we pay you this? It's like, okay, this is about money. We can work that and all that stuff. But I know people have been giving Grace a lot of shit because of, what she did. And because of what she did, what happened. But at the same time, it's like, I think Mary's the Spitfire, Annie's the heart, and Grace is just the
spirit,
freaking like strength and like that freaking like bring it, let's go, because it's like she knows that it's like fine, you already took the man that I love and all that stuff, but I'll be damned as hell that you're gonna do the next thing. So if I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down now, and we're gonna get rid of all of y'all. Sorry,
she's the
sorry,
firecracker.
I'm sorry, I'm just talking like the South, like all y'all. And it's like, and I know a lot of people have been like, she's the reason why this.
Oh, who
no,
cares?
she's not the reason why anything. There were vampires. They're the reason why people died, not because of her. But I love the fact that she had one of my favorite deaths because it's like not only did
Right.
I mean, she took out, if someone's gonna take a piece of her heart and all that stuff, then she's gonna make sure that she's the one who really burns those embers to the ground and all that. And at least, their daughter, it's like, look, I mean, they all knew they probably weren't gonna get out of there. So she's like, fine, then at least my daughter makes it out alive. She's gonna be on her own, but no one's gonna stop me from doing this. I love that actress. I loved her in Babylon. I loved her in that Netflix show, something sex. I forget what it is. She's great. I think she's just she just steals a scene. And I mean, and that's the way a number of the actors that were in this film, like each one, it's like they just like bring you to them. And that's amazing to have a whole cast of characters that can do that. So I get what you're saying, but I do disagree. I really liked Grace and Bo.
Well, one thing I'll throw in there real quick, and the editor, Michael Shawver.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Shawver has worked with Coogler for a majority of his film work, so it's not surprising that there is. I'll use the shorthand again. That shorthand language that they have to be able to understand where they want to go, reading each other's minds when it comes to it, because no doubt Ryan Coogler is that type of director who knows what it is. He's the editor going in before it even gets to Michael. And to be able to harness that and to be able to cultivate it. And I have no problem that's over 2 hours. Again, it's nitpicking, to trim a few minutes off here and there. That's fine, because most films, people are like struggling to get through 2 hours. You know, the average fan doesn't want to sit for 2 hours. They're short. We're living in a short, impulsive society.
It didn't feel like over 2 hours to me.
You know what? I got to tell you, the first time I watched it, for me, it did. It felt like it was over 2 hours. It was a little bit, but the second time I watched it, it went a lot quicker because, again, I was watching it with a different set of eyes. So
yeah. Here's one thing that I want to ask you guys, because I have mentioned this a couple times. When Remick is in, and I'm going to call it a shack because it's not very big. When he's in the shack with the husband and wife, and you follow the wife after the indigenous bounty hunters, like, okay, well, sun's going down. Peace out. We're out. You do you, lady. Okay. And she goes in the house and she goes in the back. When her husband wakes up, did you guys notice the bassinet that okay, so my thing, I was wondering, either did they eat the baby or was she pregnant and we weren't for sure?
I don't think she was pregnant. They didn't give much of a shot to show whether or not she was, and the costuming really didn't show it. But I had saw it. The more I thought about it, it's the fact that they had lost the baby, and that's why they turned to the wife that they had turned to. And actually, to be honest, you know, one of the great things about this, and one of the things, I mean, it's a very convincing argument on why you should be a vampire in this film. And that's one thing you don't normally see. It's normally just a couple same old stereotypical stale bullet points. The idea of taking away that pain. Why do you want to feel that pain when you can go ahead and become part of something where you're all connected, a hive mindset, where you all feel this and you can live forever? And we see it later on, spoiler alert, in the post-credit scene, we see it later on when they come to see the older Sammy. And they're good, they're happy, and that is something you don't see. And that's something I want to applaud, is the fact that there's a civil aspect to the vampires. They are vicious, they are ruthless, but there's a reason why they're doing this. It's not gratuitous for the sake of being gratuitous. It is something that is, and that's why I say the comparison to Catholicism. It's a comparison saying, join our congregation. Don't be like them where it's all stringent and you can't do what you want. We want you to be a part of this and be who you are. And it's kind of a metaphor for our society today. Just saying.
Well, and it's the whole thing that, you know, Remick's spiel, it's very culty and stuff like that, but it's also gaslighting, because he talks about, it's like, you know, have that freedom, you know, join this and do that. It's like, well, yeah, but if I do that, then I'm going to have to die and all this. And it's very Death Becomes Her. You know, it's like, you know, live forever. It's like, yeah, but then I have to watch my friends die. And it's like, I have to do this, all that stuff. And that's why when Sammy, you know, is at the end, it's like, I've lived a good life. I'm fine with that. And I was like, look at this Death Becomes Her moment that you guys are having. I love it. I'm fine with that. I'm all for it. It's like, he lived and he's good. And, you know, and again, we're talking spoilers, you know, when Stack like does that, like sniffs him out, it's like oh, you can smell that he's dying. You can smell the decay. It's like, yeah, it's not gonna be long now. It's like, why would you want to be a vampire at like 98 or 86 and stuff like that? It's like, no, you want to do it when you're young and stuff. I mean, do you not have the pain? Do you not have the old joints? Do you not have all that stuff? It's like, I don't even know if I'd want to be a vampire now. It's like, can I go back to when my ass was smaller? Like, it's like, can I lose weight if I do that? Because if not, then you pass me up. Nope.
I'm going to tell you something. I'll tell you two things. One, when Cornbread's face gets partially blown off, I wouldn't want to be him, but I guess he really doesn't care about that anymore. And the second thing is, that's, again, the beauty, the humanity of what this movie has, even with the vampires, the humanity of them understanding who they are and what they are and accepting who they are. And that's a lesson that's very powerful on a lot of levels, whether it's gender, sexuality, color, race, whatever it is. This is a theme that is woven through our history and our society when it comes to it. And it's incredibly powerful. And I don't think Sinners would have been as good without that post-credit scene. I think that post-credit scene ties it up and makes it go from a great, like From Dusk Till Dawn. From Dusk Till Dawn is a great horror film, but there's nothing that makes it redeeming, that makes it a great film. No. It's a good film, maybe a great horror film, but it's not a great film. This is a great film to a do you want to say a near perfect film? It might be.
Practically perfect in every way. But like I said, I just don't buy that Remick scene falling from the sky and like where the bounty. That's always going to be my major thing in it, that I'm like, no. It's like, I get people have tried it. It's like, well, he's a fallen angel. That's neat. That's great. I'm so glad you're telling me that. Yeah, I got that with the vultures and all that stuff. Why would the bounty hunters know where he was then? Like, why would they be coming? Where are they coming from? Because people even said, it's like, there's no one like that around here. That means they came from a distance to get there. Why? How? It's not like they had a tracking device. They didn't have the cell phones. They didn't have this. I mean, and it would be one thing if it was dusk. If it was like a little bit darker and there's a way to do that, and he like, smoothly came in and stuff, I could possibly get behind that and stuff. It's like, okay, sure, whatever. It is bright outside. He's melting. It's like the sun is out. So where you didn't come through the cornfield, because again, the sun's out. It's not that. And it's like, I don't know. That is honestly the only thing that I found wrong with the film.
Do you think that it's possible that he was running from them?
Oh no, he's definitely running from them.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, you mean running like Quicksilver running?
Well, I mean,
because
they were hunting him, and that's how he ended up with where he was. I don't know. I mean, I'm just.
Well, I'm gonna. Oz, you remind me of something.
I'm trying to make sense of it, but.
Well, you know what? Here, ready? This is something that's kind of fun. So Ryan Coogler does a great job of pushing into those tropes. He really does a great job of doing that. Every movie, TV show, vampires know martial arts. They know how to fight. In this movie, they know how to sing and play instruments. Well done, Ryan Coogler. I'm sitting there and they're all doing gospel numbers and Irish jigs and stuff.
Yeah, but hilarious. Like you said, it's the hive mind. Once Remick knew what that was, and once he bit everybody, they all had that hive thing, and that was the deal.
Hilarious.
Yeah. But another thing, aspect that I love so much about this film too is that Coogler wrote women that really spoke their truths and did not back down from any man.
Very strong
whatsoever. Like, I love it when Cornbread is trying to get his way in and then complaining about Annie's cooking, and it's like, you can tell, and it's like, you're not complaining about my cooking. And it's like,
how about his wife?
He's trying to get a fight out of her, or it's like, oh no, I'm sorry. I was like, no, you're not going to complain about my cooking. Like, shut up, you. It's like, I could tell. It's like, And
how about Cornbread's wife?
Well, and yeah, Cornbread's wife. It's like, yeah, let's see what he has to say. Yeah.
Oh God, the sexual dialogue, it fits so well because it's done for laughs as well as a serious element of it. It has a great weight and balance to it. I say about the oral sex, I mean, there's a lot of talk, and Oz, I give you credit for trying to keep count in the movie. So I appreciate that so much. But it's the idea that the sexuality, he doesn't also shy away from this. This isn't Wakanda. This is something completely different. This is an element of reality and something that people went through. There's a historical context to it, as well as a human context to it.
Yeah.
Well, and I love the fact that they even tied it in because they didn't have to mention Capone.
Yes, exactly.
They tie it in. They worked, and the part about that I loved is it's very subtle, but it also, I mean, everybody that worked for Capone was not white Italian,
right.
I mean, there were colored people that were in the mafia too. You know, people of color. You know, we see it in movies all the time, and historically, and when it comes to Capone, he's always surrounded by a bunch of Italians. And I thought it was a really clever way to put that in there. That, you know what, these guys were in there too. And it wasn't just all, you know, the Italians running the mob. You know.
Yes. And you know what, Oz, I'm going to go off of something you said in a different context. One of the things I know I said, you know, you need to stop being so preachy, you need to cut back, is the idea that when Remick comes up and says, I took them out because the KKK's here and they're coming for you, that takes it and makes it, and this is From Dusk Till Dawn, that makes it a villain that you can side with. It's funny. I'm going to go off on a little tangent. I saw a really great post by in Your Head, it's a wrestling podcast, and they said the WWE is in trouble. And I'm reading, and it goes, nowadays, Cody Rhodes, Bianca Belair, the faces are getting booed. The heels are getting cheered. And it made me think of Sinners, because in there, you may not like what Remick's doing. You may not agree with it. It may, if you're a horror fan, you love the vampirism. But he has a heart because he's been through it for hundreds of years, and he understands. And his mission, why you may not want to die, his mission is just because what makes a great villain and a great antagonist, protagonist? Belief. He has belief in what he does, and he makes you believe in what he does by just throwing that little chest out. And that influences the whole final act of the story and the heroic ending that comes with it.
Well, yeah, because his justification, it's like, look, I'm actually being honest with you for
Right.
what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to talk to you about the benefits. It's like, I know you want this place. I know you think it's yours, but it's like, what you don't know is that come morning, you're all going to die anyway. So it's like, at least why don't you put up, it's like, and that's one of those things. It's like, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my enemy kind of thing. And it was also a thing too, like, you know, with the beginning, it's like, you know, so is there any clan? There's no,
exactly.
There's no clan in these parts. What? It's like, and it's like, yeah, that was a grand dragon and all that stuff. And it was an aspect of the film that it's like, yeah, anyone who doesn't think we're not going to see that guy again, I've got some, you know, lakefront property in you know, in Chicago, I can sell you, you know, it's like, yeah, I got some stuff. It's like, it's pretty obvious that guy was not doing that at the kindness of his heart. That it's like, here's a bag of money. Thanks. I'm going to come back in the morning and just take everything anyway. So have a great night.
It was great. And the weaponry that they used reflected the characters. Again, the detail in all of the characters is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. The idea of that knife with the knuckles and the grip, the gun, everything they do, the trunk that comes out, the idea of the weapons that they face off against the vampires is great. And the idea of how they don't use the weapons, which is later on, explains a lot and why one of the characters survives. So,
well, and it's also like when they, you know, it's the subtle exposition of everything too. Like the story of Stack and Mary, the story of Smoke and Annie, Smoke and Stack, and like why they had to leave Mississippi in the first place and what they did for each other and the guilt that they had. How was it Stack that would get beat by his dad and Smoke's the one who ended up, and that whole thing. It's like, again, it's the whole, you know, the 10 commandments. When I was like thinking about this, each one is checked off like throughout the film, and it's just done so well and so subtly. It's just not in your face, and I love that. You know, they talk about the war, they talk about, it's like, you know, it's only a matter of time before someone's going to come down. It's like, you know, Irish beer and Italian wine. It's like, you're playing them against each other, you know, they're playing against each other. And no matter what, this wasn't going to last. Like they even said, it's like if we take wood and nickels, we've got maybe
Right.
6 months tops that this is going to happen. It's like,
well, it's so interesting. I know we got to wrap up with this, but it's so interesting because even the idea of the first interaction between Stack and what's Haley's character again?
Mary.
Mary, and then the idea of Annie and Smoke. It's a visual with the loss of the child between them, and with Stack and Mary, it's going back and forth, and that reflects their personality so well. Everything is so well. Go see the movie. Go enjoy the movie. Support great cinema.
One last spoiler for all that. One of the things when, and again, big spoiler, but look, if you're rooting for anyone in this film, I'm gonna let you know they're probably not gonna make it. But when Annie meets her fate, and she does that again on her own terms, very much like Grace. But when she's like, don't let this happen to me. And when, you know, Smoke does that, it was or Annie, when Mary sees that and that blood curdling scream, it's like that was because she knew what she wanted. And it's like, this will be great. We can all be vampires together. We can live, you know, forever together. And she knew if that happened, then it's not going to go the way that, you know, they think they had planned in their head once they got turned. And then I thought, and then you don't really see her for the rest of the film up until the end. And I thought that was a great scene because again, very subtle. And unless you didn't know, you're not going to know what that was all about. And it's like, because they are sisters. Like, yes, Mary to everyone is a white woman, but she does have her,
we're family.
Her grandfather was, you know, half black. So, I mean, at that time, if anyone knew that, she would be dead. Like, because she's married to a white man in Arkansas, they're not supposed to see, you know, that. And I mean, their family, like, you know, her mom basically raised Smoke and Stack and or her grandma, something like that. And it's the whole, like, you know, this community and this, like, they've all been together and they want to keep that when Smoke and Stack finally bring everyone together and it's back to, like, to the good old days like they had once upon a time. But yeah, go see this movie. Even if we've spoiled anything, believe me, it's nothing.
Exactly.
It's nothing.
Our spoiler is not going to do it justice.
This is a heavy spoiler edition of Postmortem.
It is.
It doesn't at all. Action shape your words and your world.
Yeah, and if you have a chance, I mean, definitely go see it in either you know, Dolby or, you know, IMAX or you know, I saw it in XD, which the sound, but we just can't, like I said, the spoilers and our praise really is not going to do this film justice. It's something you've really got to experience for yourself. So I mean, that I think we're unanimous here that everybody's, you know, a thumbs up. And one other kudo I wanted to give when I was talking about Omar, you know, and it was how good it was to see him, you know, it was I loved seeing Omar Benson too, who played Cornbread.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That guy, I've been a fan of his ever since he was on Ballers back on HBO with The Rock. And he's such a really, really good actor and such a, I mean, it was good to see him in, you know, a big budget kind of film like this. Because I mean, I think his talent really warrants being, you know, in more films and I mean, I think he's got a great talent. And I mean, I think he and you know, Cornbread and Slim were the comedic you know, flavor in this film, and I love how they played off of each other, and you know, him going to take a piss and all that. I mean, it was just, and then it turned bad. I mean, you don't ever say I'm going to be right back.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah,
you won't be right back.
We'll be right back.
So.
All right. Well, hey, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. subscribe, drop a comment, interact with us. Tell us what you think. Tell if you think we're full of shit. Tell us if you agree with us. You know what? And, if you see us at the, conventions or in theaters, whatever, Katie's the blonde in front.
I'm the bald in back.
That's right. That's right. So, catch us. We'll catch you guys in the next one. We love your faces, and, we'll see you next time.